before we completely deep dive into like the big truck versus small truck and just my experience, the real reason why I actually went down to a smaller truck was just ultimately to lighten up my board. I knew that there was some kind of pros and cons riding the smaller truck. I kind of had a feeling I wasn't going to like the smaller truck on this board anyways. I've always rode a wide truck. I used to ride 9-10 inch boards, so I had a wide truck for a long time. And with the wider truck, I just learned how to do certain tricks like crooked grinds, feeble grinds, a little bit different. I kind of sat more on an angle. With the smaller truck, you have to be way more precise. So going into it, I knew I was going to have some troubles adjusting to it, but I was trying to ultimately decide, is it worth it though for the weight? In the last maybe 2 years, I've been riding an 825, and I usually ride a 149 with my 825. So that's actually what we have over here on this side. A 149, like according to like the truck companies, is usually for an 8.5. The reason why I like it on the 825, the axle kind of matches up with the edge of the board and you kind of see your wheel a little bit. Recently with my newest setup, I decided to skate it with a 144, which is a smaller truck on here. Even a lot of people will refer to this style kind of as magic carpet. You still can't really see the wheel that well. It's pretty hidden. Having a smaller truck like this also has some benefits, and obviously it has some cons. Well, I guess they both do. We'll just get into some Skatepark clips and whatnot, and I'll talk to you guys further about my experience with the smaller truck. All right, so we got the 144s out right now for this session. Do some flip tricks over the hip, whatnot, and see how it goes. So we're starting out with some shove it tricks, and with the smaller truck, it does tend to scoop a little bit more. So I was kind of worried that I was going to land a primo on some of these shove it tricks. But surprisingly, on the big spin, I felt like the scoop was a lot better. The other thing I was kind of worried about with the smaller trucks was over-rotating my board. You can kind of see on my frontside flip, I over-rotated it. I almost landed primo, which was kind of sketchy. But another thing I did notice, when I was doing a 360 flip, it was like the scoop to do a 360 flip with the smaller truck made it much easier. It was definitely less effort to get that scoop. Now that we just like watched those clips, I can kind of explain more. So in that 360 flip position right here, if I'm putting more pressure in that pocket, you can kind of see the board and the wheel kind of gets pushed underneath a little bit more. And it's just gonna make the board scoop a little bit easier like that. So even when it comes to doing a shove it like that, if you were to put too much pressure in scoop, you might do this. So with a wider truck, even when you're kind of putting that pressure in that same little scoop pocket, the wheel's not going to go underneath the board as much as it does with the 144. And kind of just going back to that pop shove it motion, when you're putting that pressure, it's not going to want to scoop down and go this way as much. It's going to stay a little bit more level since the trucks are further out. Oh my God. All right, the frontside flip felt okay. Yeah, so some flip tricks were just giving me a hard time. I noticed I was doing this kind of weird wheel bite fallback thing a lot with these trucks. It happened more often than not. Definitely took some adjustment. You can kind of see this nollie backside. It took me a little bit to get that. Okay, this might be just a me problem, it could be, but I did notice manual tricks were a lot harder for me with the smaller trucks.
Yep.
So this is really just me and my opinion about it, but I felt like I just wasn't as stable with the smaller truck. When you have the wider truck, it obviously covers more of the board surface, so it does provide more stability. So I definitely noticed a big difference in that. I was really struggling with this setup with manual tricks specifically. I'm really not that great at manual tricks, and I can definitely tell you one thing, these trucks did not help me manual. I mean, I'm thinking just because the smaller truck, it's just a little bit more wiggle room on top of the board, you know? Because don't get me wrong, you can turn really well and really sharp with the smaller truck on your board. But for me, when it came to manuals, it did not help. So as I was doing shove-its into nose grinds, I noticed just the smaller truck was really hard for me to lock into. I really depend on the wider trucks to help me kind of lock into grinds. I know the nose grind was a main trick for me that was definitely a problem. crooked grinds, front feebles, but it was an adjustment for this, but you know, it just took more precision to get into those nose grinds. Kind of crazy because one big difference I did notice with the smaller trucks was blunt slides were a lot easier. I felt like you actually had a better lock-in position. Kind of back to when the wheel goes further in under the board. So this is my 149, that's the 144 over there. So if I were to push down and kind of act like I was inside of a blunt slide right now, you can kind of see there's not too much of like a pinch, if that makes sense. The board kind of only bends down so much this way. But if we go over here to the smaller truck, you can, you know, push that board in a little bit more. And so that kind of creates a better blunting pinch point, if that makes sense. So when I was doing back nose blunts with the smaller truck, it actually did feel easier. So overall, I didn't have a great experience riding the smaller trucks. It wasn't a terrible decision or anything, but I definitely feel that I have more advantages riding a bigger truck. It works better for me. It kind of works better for the tricks that I'm doing. This might not be the case for you because I know a lot of people like the smaller truck under the board, and there's nothing wrong against that. Obviously, everyone has their preferences. I just kind of wanted to share with you guys what I experienced, things I liked, I didn't like. But ultimately, I think I'm gonna go back to a 149. If you guys remember the beginning of the video, I really wasn't trying to go for different pros and cons with the smaller truck. Ultimately, I really just cared about the weight. I know there are a bunch of other truck companies that offer a lot lighter trucks. As you can see, I'm riding Independence. They are on the heavier side. The reason why I've been just kind of sticking with them is I've been riding them for a long time, and I kind of wanted to see this experiment to be kind of fair. I felt like if I did a smaller truck with a different truck company, it would definitely kind of change the experience a little bit more. I'm so comfortable and used to 149s, especially with Independence, so I felt like it would be only kind of smart to stay with the same truck. And I'm sure you guys are all aware that different trucks kind of set your wheelbase at different places. So kind of just going back to like, at least with the Independence, I knew that my wheelbase was going to be the same. So ultimately the width would be the big change in the truck. In conclusion of all this kind of little truck madness of all this, what am I going to end up doing? Yes, I'm going to ride the 149, but I did get my hands on these forged hollow indies right here. So I've actually never skated the forged hollow. Already you can kind of see, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see from there, but the base plate is a lot thinner. So I'm assuming the truck is probably like maybe a millimeter shorter than what I'm normally riding. But ultimately I'm gonna get a lighter truck out of this, and it's gonna provide the stability that I need for my manual tricks. It's gonna be a lot easier for me to lock into my crooked grinds, feeble grinds. All those tricks that I kind of sit more sideways on will be a lot easier and more comfortable with this. I'm definitely not going to get the turn or the wheel bite that I was getting with the smaller truck. I'm going to miss that little nose blunt pinch spot, but ultimately I think the 149 is just a little bit better for me. The interesting about this Independent is that it has blue bushings. I've never skated any of their colored bushings. I've always had kind of that, like, whatever that is, like the yellowish orange bushing that it comes with, the stock bushing. So I'm curious to see how these blue bushings actually are going to skate. But yeah, comment, let me know what you guys think about all this truck madness. Do you guys kind of ride your skateboards magic carpet style, or do you guys like it when your wheels kind of poke out to the side? Because don't get me wrong, I've heard people who ride 825 with a 159. So the trucks are like, your wheels are hella sticking out. And I mean, talk about stability. I mean, that thing's like a mini megaboard at that point. So it really doesn't matter what you're really riding. It's just really what makes you feel comfortable. So if you're considering kind of scaling your truck size down, hopefully this video maybe can help you, give you advice, give you some pointers. I don't know, things to think about. As always, thanks for tuning in. Sub for some more videos if you want. And I'm gonna go put these new trucks on my board because I'm really stoked on trying these out. Yeah, that'll probably be the next video. So stay tuned for that one.